So your idea is that while there are real players that you're going to be using in your story, you're going to keep their identities unknown to the viewer, but probably to protect their privacy and to protect you from libel or whatever, might come of that, right? Because there might be some, controversial things that might come up especially when you're talking about the identified stuff, right? Based on your blog.
Yeah.
People's privacy, right to privacy, they're what? You're trying to search for the word. So tell me more about that. So what you thought at the time you're in Identify is, or that you wanted to accomplish, or your identity with Identify, if you will, has somehow has changed in your retrospective view of it now, so that your experience, the way you remember the experience now is different than the way you experienced it then.
Yes.
And that's part of what you want to tell in your story?
Absolutely. Or not.
Or not. When, as we're talking then, and you're kind of throwing these things out, I listen because I want to capture the whole thing. And you're right. Sometimes I get lost in following it because I'm not sure about the antecedent topic or phrase. And so I may interrupt you more often now, knowing that that's what you want from me.
Absolutely.
All right. To paraphrase what I think you're saying, does that sound like what you want?
What a great word you just said.
And I remember that from one of the TED's talks that you said.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Or not.
Or not. So, let's go back to where we were when you went to the bathroom, which was, so part of your story is going to be about Identify and how you experienced that time in your life, right? And how it influenced your life, right? And now how you're perceiving that after your stroke.
And now, thanks to the stroke, I see how to do that.
So one thing that I was wondering if there's going to be a theme through this is you talk about Lost Horizon and how that influenced you and still is important, in your, life now. Is there going to be a theme of Buddhist teachings, spirituality throughout this as well? Well, I guess what I'm asking is, does the Buddhist way of perceiving the world and humans and interactions with, humans and nature and everything else somehow play into your life story and your history? So going back to the beginning, when we first started, you talked about, my impressions of 4 people during that first time after the stroke. And it sounds like you want to include that somehow in your story. Don't know. But they're just ideas that are coming into your head as you're going through stuff. So you had a little pause there, and I wanted to go back to what you were saying before the dog took over. And you said, so looking back, I think you were going to say, looking back from your perspective now post-stroke to things in the previous pre-stroke life is kind of going to be what you're going to be doing.
Most of all, I mean, even the whole idea of this movie that I'm doing is really all it is. I mean, it really is a major thing to the story because it is the story in a chosen medium that I have loved since I was just knee high to a grasshopper. Well, maybe a little bigger than that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Did you ever listen to Cool Radio? Your brother's bootleg radio station. I was a popular kid after I started the radio station.
Yeah. That better? I don't have stripes on my face?
Which was really cool thing she did for us. And I really, that was one of the nicest, because she didn't like me too much. Great for her to do that for me. So little did I know the backstory that fed into that. Now, again, I don't even know if that's even relevant to this thing, but it sure has a lot of memories queued up in my brain. Strong imagination.
Your big imagination. And you were saying in the context of being in Longview, I think you were trying to say how being in Longview or growing up where we did fed that imagination?